This stuff's kind of pricey.
Well, it sure is nice, though.
Oh, yes, it is.
All right, we are here on runway 7 right here
Yes,
at Anchorage, and we're going to go ahead and set this to PAWD.
Hey, you want me to tell you a quick story?
Sure.
You see the map there where it says Pacha and your airplane there on the end of the runway?
Yeah,
And the little blue circle symbolizing the airport?
I do.
And there's a runway there that goes to the northwest. That's runway 1331, I think,
All right.
at Anchorage, okay? And the terminal is over here to the northeast. You don't really see it, but that's where all the terminals are.
Gotcha.
Just before I went up to Anchorage to fly 37 years ago, a Korean cargo DC-10 taxied out in heavy fog and was going to take off on that runway to the northeast. So he was down there pretty close to where that A is in Pacha.
All
See
right.
that?
Yeah, I see it.
And they cleared him for takeoff. Well, he taxied on to runway, what would be 25, and was facing to the west. So you see how much runway he had left?
Oh, no.
Like nothing. And he couldn't see it because it was severely foggy.
Oh, no.
He didn't realize he was on the wrong runway.
Oh,
So
no.
he pushes up the power and starts his takeoff roll. And then he sees, first off, he's going to start to see lights that don't make sense, and
Right.
paint that doesn't make sense. And then he sees an airplane in position and hold on the end of the runway there,
Oh, man.
like a Piper Navajo, a small twin.
Yeah.
Now, this DC-10 they were in had a center landing gear because it was a heavyweight airplane. So it had the two main gear struts under the wing, but it had also a gear under the belly. And he knew that. So he kicked the rudder and moved it over, and the body of that Navajo went between the gear and broke the wings off.
Oh.
And then the DC-10 went off the end of the runway, and it goes downhill afterwards into like a ravine sort of thing, and crashed. And so they all survived, the Korean pilots. They opened the window, went down the ropes, and walked into the terminal to tell them, hey, we crashed. You guys got to go out there and clean it up.
Oh, jeez. Oh, man.
And the people in the Navajo survived.
Wow.
Is that crazy?
That is a wild story.
Anyway, just a little bit of history there. So pay attention to which runway you're on.
All right. That's a good moral to the story. I like that. See, I like stories that have a meaning.
All right, we can go back to that nav display though, and select our approach if you want, or we can wait to do that.
Let's do it. We will select approach. There's only
Yep.
one, so we'll
Yep.
select that, and we'll set
Yep.
initial approach fix at broil.
Yes, sir. Yeah, that's correct. Okay.
And
You're good. You can just load it.
and
I
we
just loaded.
We won't activate it yet, right?
I wouldn't know.
All right, let's take a look and make sure that got in the flight plan. It did. And let's also make sure that those nav instructions match what I see in my plates.
Yeah,
And-
that's very good. That's a very important check, especially when you're going into this Valley of Doom like this.
I know we're not going to have a whole lot of time to do anything else there. That looks right to me. So, and then the missed approach starts at TUJVE if we need it.
Right, and that's a cool one too, because look how that one goes straight out down that valley over the water, and then a right hand turn, and then back. Now you should have enough altitude to get over these hills and rocks, and back to a holding point.
Good.
So that's pretty cool, isn't it?
It is cool, and that's that'll be handy if we need it.
All right.
Okay. This part is set then.
You're set and you're verified. So now on this one, what we want to do is I would go away from that on the OBS, or it's not the OBS, but the HSI. On the CD, click it once and you'll get a green arrow. Because we're not ready yet. We're not ready yet for our GPS.
That's true.
And then you can just put the outbound for Victor 441. What was that? The 153 radial, I think.
Let me see here. Maps.
My memory is correct. Let me look at it. 153 radial.
Okay. Also, I'm going to center my heading.
And yeah, that's always a good idea. That's it. That's a very good plan. And then go up there to the upper left and set in the Anchorage VOR, which is TED 1315.
11315.
Yes, sir.
All right. One moment.
And if you had something else that would make sense for you to, now here's one that's really good. If you look at this thing beneath that TED box, Anchorage VOR box,
yeah,
it's got minimum crossing altitudes. And look at the very bottom one, Victor 441, 4,200 feet southeast bound.
Oh, perfect.
And that's what we're doing. So I would just take off and make a turn and just kind of start a holding pattern right there until you met that minimum crossing altitude, which was 4,200 feet to cross for the VOR to go Victor 441 southeast bound.
All right.
So that'd be the plan I would get. So
fine
let's
with me.
see. So you got Anchorage up there, you got the heading bug up there, you got the VOR radial set in. I think you got. We need an altitude set.
All right. Well, we remembered that we are going to continue to climb even after we cross the minimum altitude. So is there any reason not to set it for the altitude for Victor 441, which is 7,100?
Yes, that's what I would put in. Now that's kind of like a textbook answer, because air traffic control would want you at a cardinal altitude, 7,000, 8,000, 9,000, whatever. But just so that we understand what that number means, we'll put in 7,100.
7,100. That makes sense to me. Yep. I'm also going to, let's see, I want to hit DME.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah. All right. Now we know how close we are to the VOR, and so we can know when to start our holding turn.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
We ready to go?
Yeah, I think we're ready to go.
All right. Boom.
All right. Let's do this.
Go ahead.
All right. We are... parking brake is still on? Sure. There we go.
I never have figured out how to get that thing off without just having to go down and manually do it.
Oh, I'm sure.
I can't find a button to release it.
Huh.
On the keyboard or whatever.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I hear you. All right. Up we go.
There you go. Yep.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and climb out.
Yes, sir.
Power at max. We got a nice climb going. I think we're going to want to just bring that down a touch. I think I do 1,000 feet. 1,000 feet a second, looks like. Or 1,000 feet a minute. Yeah, 1,000 feet a second. What am I flying? The space shuttle?
They can do that.
Yes, they can do anything they want.
Almost. All right, so you could probably turn your crosswind now.
Right turn?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Holding pattern left, but the water's to the right. So remember, we drove up that water to go to Kenai for fishing.
Oh, that's right.
We drove along there.
I loved that trip. That was a fun trip.
That was a lot of fun. Yep. It was funny. I had wanted to do that with you for a long time, and I kept thinking, yeah, but crap, how much that's going to cost? And then I finally thought, you know what, dude? If you don't get over that, you're never going to do it. So just bite the bullet and do it. And money well spent, I'd say.
I had a good time there. Now, let's see. I'm not... Am I...
So you can turn back to the west, sort of like either a downwind or the outbound on a holding pattern. You can do that.
Okay, we're going to turn right. I'm going to keep climbing here.
Yeah, and as you look out there, then you can see that you're going over water. So even if you're in the goo, you wouldn't be hitting anything.
That's true.
And you can always press Control W and get rid of all of that stuff and just look out front.
All right, I've got a visual on the runway, so we're just...
Yeah, there you go. So you're doing like a downwind and you're still climbing.
Yep. I think I can climb a little bit faster here.
Now, you're going to hand fly this whole thing, or are you going to do some autopilot?
Oh, I'll do some autopilot here in a minute.
You're a very steady hand. I'm not nearly that steady. It might be a difference in the controls. My controls seem to be a little sticky.
Yeah, I think that's probably the controls. I mean, I suspect I suspect that yours is just a lot more sensitive. There's a lot of play in this yoke, and I think that's by design. It takes a little bit more to kind of get it to register, you know?
Yeah. Now, you can probably go out, as far as you think, such that when you turn back, you'll be able to cross the VOR at 4,200 feet, right?
Got it.
So,
yep. Well, let's see.
Now, look out to the right again like you just did. Look out to the right again. Like you just did. No, to the right.
I am looking out to the right.
No, well, now you are. Well, you can hardly see it. Back behind the headrest is a lake.
Oh.
That's Lake. There's Lake Cood and Lake Campbell, and they're kind of connected, but they're actually an airport, a seaplane airport.
Oh wow!
And then every inch of that shoreline has a seaplane on it.
I'm gonna go ahead and right turn and come on back.
Yeah, there you go. And in the summertime, that is one of the busiest damn airports ever. I mean, those seaplanes are coming and going constantly.
Man, that sounds like a lot of fun, actually.
Oh, it is. Well, there's a lot of water around here. There's little lakes and big lakes everywhere. But many of them, there's no road to them.
Sure.
And many of them, there's no runway next to the lake.
This is how you get there.
Yeah. Oh, and you'll see airplanes, seaplanes going out there with all kind of shit tied to their floats.
Oh, really?
Oh, man, unbelievable. Lumber, a couch, a canoe, a refrigerator, whatever.
Oh, sure.
Now head back to the VOR, though.
Well, let's see. The VOR is going to be right
to your left. But if you want, you can just fly this direction and intercept the radio. If you want, it's up to you.
Well, let's see.
What's your altitude now? I can't see your altitude.
It's just at 3940, so we're getting close.
Okay, so you're going to cross it. How much distance we got here? 3 miles, 2.3 or 3.3?
3.1.
Okay. Yeah, you're doing good. Now, if you wanted to, you could go down here on those lower touch arrows and get the bearing pointer, and the bearing pointer would show you. So go down there, hit PFD.
There we go.
Way over here, hit PFD, and hit bearing 1.
Yep, I got it. That looks good.
Yeah.
That looks good.
So that's helpful.
All right, we are above the crossing altitude, so then the next thing to do would be to watch for the needle to start to cross over.
And what you could do, since you're really close, go ahead and turn to like a heading of 120, and then you'll have a much better shot at not overshooting it.
That makes sense. We'll go ahead and start that turn.
Yeah. Okay, and just keep the climb going. You're above the crossing altitude now, so you're good.
Yeah. All right, we're going to go ahead and level off at 1.2, and I think what I'll do is I'll go ahead and set it up. I'll put the heading bug where I'm at, like this. I'm going to go ahead and set up for heading mode, and we'll go ahead and vertical speed, and we'll keep it at 800, and I'll, let's see, engage the autopilot. So heading mode, VS, Alt-S, autopilot engaged. There we go.
Yeah, but we don't see the autopilot engagement.
Oh, I do. Yeah, right there. AP instead of FD.
Now it's there.
Yeah.
Maybe what I see is a little delayed from what you actually do.
Yeah, that is kind of the unfortunate part about this whole live streaming thing that we do. There's just a little bit of a delay.
No, that's okay. It's the benefit's worth the loss, or whatever you want to call it. The less than perfect world, I guess you could say. So once we get on this, now how are you going to know when you're on this radio?
Well, what I'm expecting to see is this green line to start crossing over. And once it's straight up and down, which is actually moving over right now, so I'm going to go ahead and change the heading.
I wouldn't take much out yet. Let's see.
I see your point.
These radials come together like spokes on a wheel. And so the closer to the hub of the wheel, the closer they are between each other, the farther out, the far. So we're about 2.3 miles. And that's, now you can take some of that out. Don't take it all out. Because otherwise it'll take you quite a while to get that thing centered. Yeah, there you go. More like that. That's good. So once it's centered, then that means that you are in fact on that radial. At that point, you could go direct to broil with GPS.
Alrighty.
Or with the VOR, you can just press the nav, and the nav will keep that VOR centered.
Well, let's.
Have you done that before?
No, I haven't. That sounds great. I'll press nav and
press it and see what you see.
Okay, and it's doing that because the CDI selector is set to VOR. Is that right?
Yeah, I guess so.
If
so I haven't seen the enunciation switch to nav yet. But you've done it?
It's actually switched. It says VOR when I hit nav.
Okay, there you go. I just saw the change. So that means that now the heading, if you will, or the roll function is tracking this VOR radial.
All right. And it looks like we're just establishing at 7100, so I'm going to throttle back a little bit to get her into, what is it? Should be 20... Is it 2250 or RPM? Or
it would depend on what you wanted to do for your cruise. In other words, did you want to go fast and burn a little more gas, or did you want to go a little slower and conserve your fuel for longer range? That would be a decision that you would make. So I just fly a 172 at about 2400 RPM all the time. But,
all right, well, that sounds good to me. I'll go ahead.
If you get in the charts, and and you decide, hey, no, I want to stretch this out because otherwise I'll have to make a fuel stop en route. I don't want to do that.
Right.
So that's pilot stuff. Pilots make decisions like that. But let's watch this. Let's go up here, expand the PFD again, and let me show you something here.
Sure. Let's
take this VOR course, which is 153, and slew it over to the right a little bit, and watch. Let's see what happens.
Okay. Let's try 170.
Yeah, that's fine. Just to see what the autopilot does. And I'm not sure what it'll do. Whether it'll disengage or it'll just turn to now try to go back and pick up that new radial. I'm not sure what it'll do.
It's turning. And it's turning on to a heading of, it looks like 217.
Yeah, okay, so it knows what it needs to do to try to get back on that radial that you just changed it to.
Oh, okay. I get you. That
is
pretty cool.
That broken green bar that's basically the middle of that arrow is called the course deviation indicator. That's a CDI.
I see.
That's known as a course deviation indicator. The whole thing is called an omni bearing selector, an OBS.
Go ahead.
But this whole thing is called a horizontal situation indicator, an HSI. Now you can go back, crank it back to 153, and we'll get on with our business.
All right, we're back to 153.
It's starting to come in. Yeah, okay. Well, now we know that works that way. Now, once it centers again, then you can go direct broil and hook up GPS.
All right.
And broil is 41 miles, and so once we get that going, you can go to Alt T and speed it up.
Sounds good.
And get this thing moving down the road quick.
All righty. Have a look outside real quick. Nice.
There you go. Yeah. Cool.
Beautiful country.
So it's good. It's gorgeous. It's awesome. I love flying up there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, some of the times I loved it.
Yeah.
I'd see that every day. I flew about 8 days in a row. I'd take one day off and do it again and do it again and do it again.
Oh, man.
Remember, you and I flew down to Homer one day and walked down to the beach, and you brought a little truck and played in the sand and gravel on the beach, and I went and picked up coal and little bits of driftwood and built a little driftwood and coal fire on the beach, you and I
love it.
You were about 3 years old.
Oh, that's
just a boy's adventure.
That's fantastic. I love that.
Yeah, it was fun.
All right, it looks like the autopilot has decided it's time to turn since the CDI has come onto the center.
Pretty close.
It's not too bad.
Yeah, you can go back now to the nav display, and you can select direct broil.
All right, there we go.
Yeah, that's good.
And we'll take a look at the PFD and make sure it's up here at the top. It is. It shows a distance now of just under 30 nautical miles.
Yeah, there you go. So you can go direct broil.
All right, so if I set CDI to GPS,
yeah, and
now I have to re-engage nav mode. There we go.
Yeah.
GPS.
Matter of fact, you should go to heading right now first, because I don't know what it's going to do.
Oh.
I would go to heading on your autopilot control.
All right. Heading. Got it.
And then now, there you go. Now you can go back to nav.
Nav. There we go.
And now at the top, it should say GPS autopilot in green.
Yep.
And that magenta above that says broil and the D direct arrow.
Yep.
Broil is what's known as the active waypoint.
All right.
Well, that's where you find out where are we going. Well, that's where you're going to.
We
broil.
are going to broil. 28 miles.
So now we're stable in flight, and so if you minimize that PFD screen and go Alt T, Alt T, Alt T, and you can see the display that tells you that you're speeded up, and then you can get down to.
Here we go.
Yep, hang on.
Oh.
Hang on to your head, it gets windy.
Okay, 3 miles.
Okay, my display shows 12 or 11, so
Well,
that's how much difference there is.
Well, that's
Okay.
That's a bit.
So you go back to regular old speed,
All right.
and at broil it should make a turn. Now, when we look at broil, let's see. Let me get this thing going here. When you look at broil, it should go to Saki, and then at that point you can descend to 6,700 feet.
All right. Now let's see. Let me check my plates here. We'll do the approach. Let me turn on my tablet mirror so we can see some things. 6,700 to Saki.
Now, if you ever want to have some fun, come out here and descend down around this lake and these valleys and land at these little airports.
There should be one right underneath us. Let's take a look.
There is. Yep, there sure is.
There it is, right down there.
Okay, so you can go ahead and you can set 6,700 in the altitude if you haven't done that yet.
All right, let's do it.
Preparing for the next descent point.
Sounds good. 6,700.
And on this one, you could even do an Alt T, because, matter of fact, you could stay at 7,100 and do an Alt T to get to Saki quick and then descend, because you're not descending a whole lot till the final descent on this thing.
Gotcha. Well,
however you want to run it.
We'll be down to 6,700.
Pretty quick.
2 shakes of a lamb's tail here. So.
Look at all them hills.
Yep. Oh, a little turbulence. Look out.
They don't look nothing like Kansas, I'll tell you that.
No. Easy now.
Easy, big fella.
There we go. Okay, we're evening out at 6,700, and I can just do an Alt T.
Yeah, you sure can. Save a little bit of time.
Yeah.
Look at that wet compass jiggling around. Huh.
Straighten up and fly right, compass.
Yeah.
Destination ASOS is 135.2.
Yeehaw. We're rocking and rolling now.
Yeah, sure.
All
Yeah,
right.
that's
All right. 2.8, 2.7 nautical miles to the next next waypoint will pass Saki, and that's going to be a right turn to Cop V. Let's take a look at what the altitude is supposed to be. That's supposed to be 6,200.
Yes, sir.
All
Yep.
right.
And how many miles is that little stretch?
Let's see. According to that's 4.2 nautical miles from Saki to Kopfi.
That is correct. Yep.
All right.
Yeah, I ask those questions so that either I know that you know how to read the chart, or if you don't, then we need to get you there.
Oh, absolutely. Keep them coming.
But you got it. You got it.
Keep them coming. That's just
So,
great.
to see how the review. Now, what you can do if you want to go to the PFD is you can get rid of that nav, DME, and bearing pointer because you don't need those anymore. If you want them, you can have them, but they just kind of now they're a distraction. They clutter the screen.
Declutter is a good idea.
I think so. A clean cockpit's a happy cockpit.
There you go. Now
remember, you want to get to the point where when you look at that HSI, if that heading bug isn't straight on top, you don't like it.
Oh, all right. Well, I'll remember that. Looks like it will be at this point, but we'll take a look. All right, so now we want to head on down. We're turning for Cop V, so VS nose down 500 feet a minute. And bring down that throttle so that we nice stable speed. We're not going over speed here. All right, 3.5 miles to Cop V. Let's look ahead to what comes next after that. It's actually a really, really short segment, 2.1 nautical miles to Utani, 5,900 feet. Real short. You still with me? Uh-oh.
Ooh.
Oh, hey, you with me?
Yes, sir. You don't hear me?
I lost you for a second, but you're back.
Okay. All right.
All right, so after this, we're going to go to Utani. And we will continue to descend. It's going to be 5,900. All right, let's go ahead. Altitude down. Getting ready for our center of the heading bug. Oh, I can see the airport on the nav map now. Look at that. We're gonna get there.
Oh yeah. But how many days do you think they can't? I'll bet there's days and days when they can't fly in here.
With those minimums, I would agree with you.
Oh man. Yeah, I had one flight to Kodiak. An airplane hadn't got in there for over 2 days.
Oh man.
And we landed. The weather wasn't very good, but it was good enough. We landed, and the whole airplane broke out in applause. Yeah, I know. I loved it.
Oh, that was a great moment. Well, and I'm sure I'm sure they loved to have somebody there at Kodiak if nobody's landing there for a while. People are.
Oh well, the weather wasn't good.
You just sit there play a lot of solitaire.
I suppose. But
right.
That's the way it is in Alaska. A lot of times the weather is a real. Well, and that's why a lot of people end up crashing because they push the limits beyond reasonableness.
That's right. This is terrain you do not want to wing it with.
I would no.
Look at this. I mean, look at this.
Is that cool?
So
now when you get down here, you're going to make a left turn and head on a heading of 130 for a downwind leg, and then you're going to make a right turn to about what would that be? About 220 for a base leg, and then a right turn back to 310 for a final approach to runway 310.
Let me just write that down. So it's going to be let's see. Come on.
It's going to be a left turn to 130.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I would descend down to about 1,000 feet because that's pattern altitude is normally 1,000 feet above.
Mm-hmm. Left to 130, right to... Let me turn that tablet mirror off. Left to 130, right to 220, and then
another right turn
right,
to
right.
around 310, maybe a little less, maybe 280 to intercept final.
Got it. Oh,
and one way to sort of do that is to look at the moving map display to see where you're at in relation to the airport.
Yep.
Because in this airplane you can't. It's hard to turn back and look behind you, which you can in a real airplane like this.
Oh, Utani to Brent. I gotta get. No, wait. Yep, we need to be descending now.
Yep, there you go. Let's go.
Down to 4,300. BS, nose down. Let's get down there at 1,000 feet a minute.
Yeah. There you go. And how far is it to Brent now?
1.7 nautical miles, and so I need to slow down.
Yep. Yeah, I'd pull the power back quite a bit. And you can probably put the minimum altitude in there because you're not going to hit Brent at the altitude, I don't think.
Let's see.
It's up to you if you want to handle it. That way it'll keep coming down. I would probably increase the descent rate more to like 1,500 feet a minute. I realize I've told you you don't want to go above 1,000 feet a minute, but you do want to get into the airport.
Yep, we gotta emphasize doing that. And
so when you get down, below like 1,500 feet, then you want to shallow that descent out a little bit.
Got it.
Up
So
here
we want to. So we keep coming down to minimums.
Yes, sir. And actually, once we say that we're visual and we can see the runway, you can keep coming down below that. So you could actually, let's say we're visual now, so let's go ahead and set in 1,000 feet.
All right.
Because otherwise, the autopilot will level you off.
1,000 feet. Got it.
All right. How we doing? You see the runway yet?
No, I don't. I stuck my head out like a dog here.
It's out there. Well, you can do the old control thing that gets you to the HUD. That's pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah. Well, let's see now. Where is it supposed to be aligned? It's going to be off my right, isn't it?
The airport is either straight ahead or a little bit right of the nose.
Yep, I see it. I see the lights. All right, so let's see. That's going to be runway. What's that look like?
Well, the one that looks like you're straight in is that short little one, 1634. And you can land on that. A 172 can do that. I don't know if you're too high to get down in time. See, that's part of the problem is for this thing to get down in time.
Yeah, well, we're still coming down. Coming down at 1,500 now, 2,700.
So you're still kind of high, but that's okay. You can descend on the downwind. This is just one of those ones where shooting this instrument approach, that's just the way it works. And I was talking to you when we got to Brent to start the descent. So
I'm gonna go ahead and put it on heading mode now. I got my heading centered up.
That's a good idea.
Okay, there's that little one. I see it. So what we're gonna do, okay, and I've got the crossing runway, so I'm gonna go ahead and do a left turn to 130.
Okay.
I think I can do that now. That seems okay.
Yeah, I would say so. Just just so that you're at proper downwind width, and that looks pretty good.
All right. Coming left, 130. And we're gonna get down to 1,000. We'll be all right. It's gonna take a second to bleed the speed off.
Figure out how far you want to go. Maybe halfway down that little bay in front of you.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
We do our before landing check.
All right.
500.
Gumps.
Now, if you want to, you can go to the PFD and change that CDI to VOR and put the VOR on a 310 course, and that'll show you alignment to the runway. That'll help you out to make sure that you're aligned with the runway. See that? See, we're on a downwind now, right? You're almost straight downwind.
Yep.
All right. So whenever you decide it's time to turn base leg, now watch your speed because you're kind of slow.
Yep, I just picked that up.
And you can look out the right and see where you are in relation to the runway.
I still haven't gone quite far enough, I don't think.
Well, but you can start your base leg turn and start descending again.
That's true. All right, let me go ahead.
And a notch of flaps.
Agreed.
And normal would be carb heat out.
Carb heat out.
If you want. So you can turn right, what did we say, 220?
Yep, right to 220. Here we go. It's going a little fast.
It's all right. You're all right. There you go. And you might want to look out to the right and see where the runway is so that you can...
Okay, I have it.
All right. Yes. You want to turn so you don't overshoot final. You got one notch of flaps in. You can put a second notch.
Yeah, I think I could use it.
20 degrees. Yeah, I see it. I'd start... Yeah, there you go. Start turning now.
She doesn't want to go any more than one notch, and I don't know why.
Oh, okay. Well,
Nope.
add one's okay.
I'm not gonna
Okay,
mess.
so
I'm not gonna mess
I
with
would
it.
turn any farther, you're going to overshoot. There,
Yep.
See? And I would take the autopilot off and hand fly it in from here.
Oh, that's what I'm doing. Yep. Autopilot's been off for about the last 30 seconds.
I see. You're so smooth, I can't tell.
And
All right. Speed looks good. Just got to get this. You're a little bit high, but you got a long runway, so that's okay.
Yep.
The FAA wants you to land in the first third of the runway.
First
Wheels
third.
on pavement, first third. If you can't, the FAA wants you to go around.
We can manage first third.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm just saying that so that you know that that's what the FAA wants.
Got it.
Bazzy says you're a little high, but then you're pretty close to them trees, too. I think you're fine.
We can do.
Oh, man. Look at this.
We can do first
Hey,
third.
Let's go fishing.
On center line.
That's very cool. Charles, you're an ace.
Oh, thanks, Dad. I appreciate that.
That's really good.